Preparing to stream a meeting.
I think we're probably live.
Ah,
I don't
this
see
is
us on
always
YouTube yet,
such a
but there's the little
Are we
delay.
live
So
yet?
let's just get started.
Are we on? Yeah, let's just do it. Why not? Somebody will see us.
All right, so welcome everyone. Welcome to your trusty friends, the 9 out of 10 testers. And God knows we can all use a friend right now, can't we? After the sad demise of our favorite bubble, Twitter, and we all recently were shocked to hear of the going of another popular testing space. So we'll launch into that in a minute. First, who are we even? Let's introduce ourselves. And this time, as a special edition, please also say what communities you're part of. Chris, why don't you start?
Hello, I'm Chris Armstrong. Not in Wales this week. Interesting. So I'm a software testing consultant, and I'm in many of my communities. My Slack alone, I've got 20 workspaces, which is a bit terrifying. But the ones that I sort of mingle with most with these fine people here, I am in the MOT Slack. Sad face about that going, but I'm also in various communities of practice on those pieces. Shout out to the likes of Agile Testing Fellowship, and even if Emna's on the call, the French testing community, which I'm attempting to be able to speak some French with some cool tech people there. But there's very many. Testing peers community is a little one that is a good friendly one that we have also. So many, too many to mention, but it's a bit confusing these days, right?
An impressive list anyway. Shay, how about you?
Oh, hang on, I've got an echo. I think I've got this running in two places. Anyway, well, I'm about the same as Chris. So many Slack spaces. Sorry guys, I'm
you're having some sound issues. Maybe
you sort out your sound issues. We'll just gloss right over it. And Sana, maybe you can introduce yourself, but also, if you want, tell us about your interesting surroundings.
Yeah, so Sana Visser, I'm a test manager or agile test coach at Capgemini, and currently in my safe PI days. So we are all in a big factory together, and to find a space to even remotely have decent sound, I have retreated to my car. So my team members are all sitting laughing, having beautiful lunches, all catered by the clients I work for, and I'm sitting in my flipping car. But I am grateful to be here, so I won't complain too much. Community-wise, all the Slacks, all the things, I'm very much passive in most of them. I do admit that, but I really used to love our tester hangout that we had, the spontaneous sort of open call that you could jump into at any point of the day and just hang with whoever was there. Really missed that one. And just for the company, for my department, I do run a lot of local, like little groups here and there. So we have one of my favorites is called the Get Together, which we run every second Tuesday. And that's just the lean coffee style get together chats. And it's always fun and new and lovely space to hang out.
All right, Hannah.
Yes, my name is Hannah Schlander, and I work as a quality catalyst at Devo Team Creative Tech in Sweden. And I hang out on a lot of the different Slack spaces as well that have already been mentioned. Besides that, I'm also on the Testers Hangout Discord channel. For those that don't know that, that's available as well. Gotten a lot more active since the Ministry of Testing Slack announced that they're shutting down. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
All right, Shay, I see you got your sound sorted.
Yeah, I don't have an echo in my head anymore. Well, no more than the voices as normal. So yeah, it's, as I said, similar to Chris, many Slack communities, including Agile Roundabout, 9 out of 10 testers, testing peers, amongst others. I'm still on Twitter. I'm not on Mastodon yet, but it's on my to-do list. Yeah, and Tester Hangout Discord, which I think I may be able to just put a link there if anybody wants it from the chat. How prepared am I?
Well done,
yeah,
Shay. Well done.
yeah. So yeah, that's probably me.
All right. Well, that leaves me, Veerle Verhagen, still a software tester at Dutch Railways. And I think I have recently come to realize that I'm a bit of a community hopper. And I'm currently mid-hop and I've not really landed anywhere. So throughout my testing career, I hopped through, I think, the Eurostar Huddle community. I was in various Slack spaces. I was very active on Twitter. And at the moment, like, my recent favorites have kind of gone. And I don't really know where I'm going to land yet, but we'll see. I'm sure there will be some bubble for me to enter again. So yeah, let's talk about this. Recently, Twitter has gone a little bit weird. Some people are still on it. Shay, you're still on it. I'm still sort of on it. A lot of people that we know have left. They've joined Mastodon or gone elsewhere. And recently, it was announced that the Ministry of Testing Slack is being discontinued. And I know that a lot of people were really sad about that. And I feel that some of the people on this call were a bit sad about that. Who wants to have a little cry?
Well, honestly, I only ever lurked there. So to be fair, I'm not going to miss them too much. I completely understand their move. But I wasn't emotionally affected by that one. So maybe someone else that did kind of feel feelings.
I mean, I could say I haven't been very active on it, but I have been quite active in the virtual coffee channel where you could meet fellow testers from around the world. And I think that's something that I will so miss. Fun. It's been a lot of fun. And
the virtual coffees have been great, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. So that part I will really miss. Although lately I have been, I jumped out of it because I haven't had the time, but it's a really good concept.
I found that sort of access to people, like folks from the community that maybe you wanted to chat to. I had quite a lot of sort of DMs with various people, either via the Twitter DMs or on the MOT Slack, and it was that question of, do we now have to do that old thing where you exchange a telephone number and work out like a tool, like a WhatsApp or something? And I ended up just download a few more.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's like the staying in touch channel where you can drop your contact.
But you don't really want to drop your phone number on a public channel either.
And get spammed for eternity.
Bit of OC, yeah.
I see Melissa saying in the comments that she liked the daily check-in, and that was actually, for a long time, that was my favorite as well, because one of the things that I noticed that sometimes I just find keeping in touch with the community like sort of too much work. My brain just kind of goes like, I can't deal with that right now. And the daily check-in was perfect because all you were required to do was like just sort of say what you were doing that day and then drop a few emojis on what other people were saying, and it was just perfect. So I think I will miss that a little bit.
Yeah, those sort of channels where you got that sort of connection with somebody where they were just sort of saying hi or bigging you up or just supporting you. I think that was really good. Also, some of the like the Cambridge meetup, for example, where I live, that's where they announced the meetups. So I was in that channel. So yeah, that was pretty handy. And also to be asked, anybody want to volunteer for Test Bashers? That, being in the Test Bash volunteers channel. How am I going to know whether or not I can be a volunteer now? Come on.
Well, they've got a new thing over at MOT, right? They've got the club, which is going to be a lot bigger now. So I think, not trying to advertise it anything, but
can someone get the link and drop that into the chat as well? I mean,
yeah,
why not?
go on.
And then we can. push that, because that is a lot of good stuff. I guess it's getting used to that thing that we were comfortable using, where everybody was and we knew where we were going. That thing, both with Twitter, the test to Hangout as was, and Slack sort of workspace is dying. It's tricky because like we like to have those constants in our lives.
Yeah, and it's also just that it's not necessarily the tools that will create how you feel connecting to a community. It's also learning to navigate them and some familiarity factors. But I do feel like chatty tools work very differently from like forums. Like there is such a difference in how you find stuff and then find people. So there's a lot of conversations I've had in the last few weeks with the fervent slackers where I'd be like, oh yeah, I could do that through a forum type thing. If I just did XYZ, I'd probably get the same responses. So someone I think suggested, in one of the forum topics, you could just tag the people you actually want answers from, where before you would know they were in the channel. And they were like, oh yeah, I can totally do that. And they happily went off to try. So yeah, there's some workarounds that maybe you don't think of, or yeah, that can make the club work for you, or maybe you hop over to another Slack. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to admit, I feel really bad about it because I used to be a moderator on the Slack, and I haven't really, I've got an account for the club, but I haven't really been active on there because I can't find a thing. And I feel like I work in tech. I used to mod the Slack. I should be able to find this. I should be setting an example here. I can't do it.
But then does that also put the brakes on because you feel like you can't faff around and just try stuff because you're the moderator showing up at the club?
No, not really. But you know how I said sometimes I just feel that keeping up with communities is a lot of effort that I can't really at that moment sort of invest in. There's a lot of other stuff going on as well. So at this point, I'm just you know what? I'll just wait until it gets really fun over at the club and then I'll join again.
Well, there's a point where transitions can be fun, and there's also ways that they're painful. I was the Saturday conference, the Friends of Good Software one. I was speaking to somebody who had hopped over from Twitter to Mastodon, and they were just very clear. They're like, "Look, the quality of the conversations is better. It feels safer. I definitely don't want to be over on Twitter, so that's comforting." But the excruciating pain of going from thousands of people that I have reached to now having just in the low hundreds, that is absolutely crushing, because that was a lot of hard work, effort, time put into another tool. So yeah, they were gutted about that, but also happy with the move. So I guess having mixed feelings about these changes is always normal. I don't know.
Okay, so let's go into that, because that's actually, I think, one of the interesting things we were hoping to get into today. When one of your communities kind of disappears or peters out or changes to the point where you no longer want to be point of it, what do you do? How do we cope? How do we substitute?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, because we're in multiple, all of us are pretty much in multiple communities. You kind of just sort of sidle along into another one and go, okay, I'll put a bit of effort into this one that I've not been showing love, or there's more love to spread into the remaining communities, I think. But to sort of have a space where you felt safe and where you felt able to express yourself and things like that taken away, I think that's when it's your primary point of getting information, giving information, etc. That's I think a really, really difficult one to try and kindle that renewed sort of vigor and safeness, etc. So yeah, it's a difficult one. I think sidle over to one, try it. If it doesn't work, maybe next one.
The safety bit is quite important, though, isn't it? You've got to be in a space where you actually feel safe and comfortable. Like we talked about, Twitter sort of burned a little bit, and it became a bit of an unsafe space. But I think a lot of those things, to Fiona point, moderating is a big ask, and actually sort of maintaining codes of conduct and having those safe spaces. That's a lot of work that I don't think really gets a lot of attention, and it's one of those things that
recognition.
you only appreciate it when it isn't there. And the fear is that we all sort of go off in these disparate spaces that maybe don't have those same things. And I know in Mastodon, the one that Christopher Nordstrom put, the software development is a social activity space. There's codes of conduct and stuff in there, but moderation and safety in communities is really important. And I do think it's an issue if we don't have that being transparent and celebrated enough, because we could find ourselves feeling like we're in that we've just found ourselves in a new place. We act the same way as we did in this other community, and yeah, it can be really dangerous both for our mental health and others.
And there's some that are just blatantly commercial. Not that that necessarily is a bad thing. I mean, it can be absolutely delightful to still be a part of those, but they're run very, very differently than some of these volunteer spaces, like the Mastodon you just mentioned. That is a lot of just free time that people give to the community. I think when these big shifts happen, I tend to go smaller. So you'll sidle along, but you'll sidle into a group that is familiar and already feels safe, because you're not ready to invest the bits of yourself and sort of expose again some of that vulnerability where possibly it's not welcome or safe to do so. So that would be my first instinct. Question though, because I do feel some of this is post-corona transition. A lot of like physical communities has also popped back up that were just completely absent for years and years. So these online spaces, while important, how many have transitioned to more physical face-to-face communities?
Doesn't seem like anyone has.
Yeah. I mean,
it depends a little bit on how you would define a community, because I would think one of the things about community is that you get in touch relatively regularly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think during COVID, one of those things that happened is like we all went maybe more international. We all got in touch with people from other countries, and so there's the thing, like you can't necessarily catch up with them very often. And so I suppose the communities that I'm trying to check in with just now are more either completely at work. So like I'm part of the Quality Guild, and that's like a small community that we're trying to build out to become bigger. So we're definitely working on that, but that is completely related to work. So that would just be at the Dutch Railways, and like it won't actually be for anyone from out with. Whereas I think the communities that I maintain or try to maintain outside of work, they're mostly at this point so international that it's hard to meet up physically very often. So it'll be a confidence thing.
Because I'm just reminded we originally met at a meetup and we used to run those and have actually outside of our companies have communities that we went to. We actually had them for a long time. I mean, they all pretty much bled out and died in the 2.5 years that we were all isolating. But we used to do this physically a lot outside of the workplace.
Yeah, I was talking about that, funnily enough, last night on one of the Testing Peers podcasts, available in your favorite podcast apps, and literally talking about sort of like the London Tester Gathering is kind of what made me. I came back into testing, and shortly after that, from being a dirty, rotten project manager, and shortly after that, I found the London Tester Gathering, and I remember distinctly walking into that the first time. I still remember the feeling, the nervousness, the everything, but that from there became all of this, became all of the community stuff, learning about Ministry of Testing and what and podcasts and some of the blogs and everything like that. That just that one opening of a door to see people and feel a space that was safe opened this up for me. So yeah, and I've recently been thinking about trying to do another London Tester Gathering at some stage. So because
Make it so, Shay. Make it so.
Yeah. Well, I want other people to experience that. I'm not, it's great trying to come on the Discord and everything, and fantastic that the communities are growing online. But man, I miss seeing everybody in person and being human with humans.
That's kind of what I mean by the pivot I was talking about. I mean, as some of these online spaces change, mutate, become something new, also the attention turns back. Like, what did I enjoy previously before, like, the internationality of these communities made it so that it almost had to be virtual? And again, don't get me wrong, I love connecting internationally. I wouldn't have met any of you, say Fearless, if we hadn't done that.
Gonna
This
say.
is true. This is true.
Yeah, well, although I'm gonna have to say, like, we also met Hannah and Chris in real life
It's true.
Yeah.
with a little help from technology, but we all met at Eurostar
It
2019.
was that glorious Hoover app, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You know,
All
that,
right.
that's
I
an
think-
interesting one. I mean, so like, I don't. Can I have a rant? Is it rant time yet?
Story time,
Yeah,
story
it is
time.
absolutely story time. Please go.
Yeah, it's not really a story time, but it's one of those things that, I mean, this Hoover app is an interesting one. How as conferences have matured and things, they all have their own app now where they try to network you with people, and it's easier to sell your information on. Remember, folks, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. And so, yeah, you know, they allow you to
Oh.
chat and stuff, but it's that
If I'm
artificial.
if I'm paying what, like 3,000 quid to go to a conference, then an app is the least I can expect, isn't it?
This is true. This is true. You know, you need an app, dinner bought for you, a date, maybe a small pet, that kind of thing. You know, chihuahuas at the very least. But you know, it's really crap. But my big rant, Hoover sort of like triggered me there, because my big rant is the attempt to make communities within corporations using Facebook freaking Workplace.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking God.
What is
seriously.
this?
Oh,
Do
you
tell.
don't. Oh, you are so lucky. So it's Facebook for the office. It's great,
No.
but it's not, because it's Facebook Lite and it's Facebook crap, and it was made by another team, and they probably took the worst of the code that was thrown
Also,
over
and
the
it's-
shoulder, over the fence by the developers, and they tried to cobble that together into an app that is freaking shit. And all it
I
does
can
is
so
send you
relate.
notifications. You know,
Is this
Yeah.
like
It's-
Yammer?
horrible.
Yeah, but worse.
Yeah. It's like in fact, I think it is what Yammer became. Yammer was trying to be that, and then Facebook, I think, bought Yammer. So yeah, there you go. It's shitty code have thrown over the fence already to be Facebook Workspace. Yay! Let's all be happy with each other.
Actually,
oh God, I hate it
I
so
think
much.
it's bundled into Office now, and it's called Viva Insights. But
I thought it was something to do with Teams and stuff, but maybe I was.
yeah, I
Mm.
think it went Microsoft, not Facebook. But still, it's shitty. Okay, no, I haven't heard of this Facebook Workplace thing.
Oh
Yeah,
mate,
you
the
haven't
moment you
missed
get
anything.
signed up, no.
I'm scared.
It is horrible. Oh yeah, thanks, Steve Watson. Cheers. You know, one of my colleagues going, "You love Workplace." No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I really.
Is
Okay.
your complaint? Is
Really
your complaint about the
don't.
tool? Is your complaint about the tool, or sort of forced communities in the workplace?
Yeah. It's the tool is part of the problem, I think. But and look, you got to try and make communities, right? Particularly in big corporations. But at the same time, it's such a horrible tool. The forced
but
community thing.
I'm
yeah.
happy. I'm happy you mentioned that, because I think that's one of the things we'd like to talk about, the communities within your company or within your workspace. And I'm gonna ask Sana, because I know that you've got a bit of experience with this.
Well, I try to set them up, and I try to facilitate a lot of them and run some of them. So what I basically try to do is I kind of say that I'm responsible for networking within the department, which basically just means that anyone that has a really good idea, wants to run a series. I think we have fireside chats going right now, where they just interview some people doing cool stuff. There's some tool experiments, so you explore one tool for a whole night. So the people that are already thinking this stuff up, like, I'm not asking them to do it, right? Like, they're already setting them up, but I kind of try to herd them in like cats into this one space. Like, please just put it here and do it this way, and maybe I can give you a few tips about which groups of people to approach, or maybe sometimes open up your doors for outside guests so that other people can come see how cool you all are, or maybe contribute some stuff. So yeah, that is a big part of my job, and I'm figuring it out as I go. And I find it really, really valuable to just very generally have a way for them to share all the cool stuff they're doing, because they're forming these groups by themselves, and I feel no need to formalize that. But it is sad when there's something awesome and there's like 3 people there because they didn't get the word out beyond that. That's always kind of a bit gut-wrenching.
Yeah. So how do you so imagine you're not even part of any community. How do you get started? Where do you find your tribe?
Right, good question. So the thing I always tell the colleagues that come to me is the first rule is never do this alone. You need at least 2 other people. It's like a tripod. If you only have 2 legs, you're going to fall down. And that's because basically at any given point, just like we talked about the moderation work, setting these things up is serious work. So as it is generally volunteer activity, you'll find one of the 3 of you will get busy, drop the ball, and because there's 2 others, you'll likely be fine. But as soon as that group is smaller than 3, I mean, this group is a case in point. If this group was any smaller than this, probably it would have shut down like many, many months ago. But it is the fact that the group is just big enough to have enough of a momentum. So you can start with as little as 3 or 5, but then go from there. If you have a great community idea and you are a party of 1, I am sorry, but all you have is an idea.
And an echo.
And an echo.
Yeah.
So find those first buddies. Go find your
Mhm.
first 2 buddies. And
Yeah,
then
Yeah, you could also try to find the existing forums and try to ask people who's been in the industry for a bit longer where they hang
Yep.
out. And that's also on us that's been in the industry for longer. Invite the juniors as well to join in and like let them know where you hang out. So it doesn't get like this exclusive club that you need a membership of.
I had this thing when I was just discovering all the cool community stuff where I wrote a blog to sort of say, hey, here's some really cool things to stay up to date and relevant. Guess what? It's not up to date and relevant anymore. Like I was talking about like where you can find cool blogs, and I was talking about Flipboard, and I was saying
Oh wow.
access stuff to that, and it's just that all that's moved on.
Yeah.
Like all those access points, it's very fluid. It's tricky, right? And then I think where places are able to invest in community and that like explicit people with those responsibilities, that's amazing. But for most of us, it's a passion project. And we're trying to find those people that are your people. And I do think that those entry points are a bit more blurry.
2 book plugs here that I've found really useful in terms of resources. Like books don't go away, right? You can like Flipboard. So there's Community Building from Emily Weber, and if you're not book inclined, find one of the podcasts that she's interviewed on that will get you the same content, and she's awesome. And then there's The Art of Gathering, and I'll have to look up the author and link it in the show notes. But she's also very clear about designing then the gathering in such a way that it also delivers what you're looking for as a community. So the next thing I'll coach this troika on is, okay, what type of community are you looking to build? Indeed, international, virtual, physical, hybrid. Have a think what you're trying to do, what you're trying to reach, because get together and talk is fun, but it's not really a community that's going out for drinks, right? Which is perfectly fine, but you kind of don't need to be a community for that.
Yeah.
Here, okay. Oh, sorry,
I
Hannah,
think,
go.
I was just gonna mention, like, if you're at a conference as well, to try to get to know people there as well, as colleagues and stuff. Don't be afraid to talk to people. There's normally some areas for each conference where there's people assigned to actually talk to you ish, and to make it
also,
more comfortable.
Like Hannah said, truly every conference I go to, I introduce people to the Women in Testing Slack. Like literally, I'll chat to somebody who's like, you should be on here. How are you not on here? You're cool. This is cool. Join this community. Yeah.
Big shout out to that one, because that's a really good community.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a
and to the volunteers, the volunteers at conferences whose sort of roles are to sort of engage with people and make them sort of safe spaces for folks and look out for folks. You know, big props to those, because it's a tough job, but it's really, really, really important.
I think
Yeah,
it's
and
really,
they will have heard about the volunteer opportunity in a place probably where they are part of a community. So those are brilliant people to sort of ask, like, how did you even get this gig? It's like, and then take real note of whatever platform or space they were on. Like, that's probably a nice place to be.
Yeah, I'd say, well, I can say personally that that's how I got into the testing community a bit more, when I attended Eurostar the first time, where Chris was a volunteer, who's probably the first testing person I talked a lot to. So shout out to Chris, because he does a really good job at that.
It's true.
I remember it well.
Here, I wanna get us talking about the flip side of all this, because of course it is super cool to get new people involved with your community. But there is also the feeling safe issue. So we discussed earlier, like, you might not jump into a huge, great community because you feel safer in a smaller space where you maybe know everyone a little bit better. So how do you deal with that? Like, if your community grows, there's always a downside to that as well, because you lose the small safe space maybe that you had. How do you deal with that?
I've got some point in this, because I've been trying to sort of struggle and muddle through some of these things. I think I've shared with you guys personally before. It's where we as testers talk a lot about the value of charters and purpose and scope and things. And I've found in some of the communities where I've been, it's very much sort of inferred rather than something that's kind of explicitly stated. But actually, as you grow, to your point, Fiona, I think you can begin to lose that. I think it's the problem that even companies have when they start as a small startup and they start to scale up. Like, there's a lot of sort of, everyone just kind of knows the vibe, the feel, the culture, and that can get lost, and there can be lots of struggles with scaling up. And I have this sort of catastrophizing state in my mind where I think if something gets too big and we haven't really spent time thinking about how we want to work, what's our purpose, what are we trying to achieve, why are we here, what do we like, what don't we like, those sorts of things. And I've tried to make almost like a charter, code of conduct type thing, in a whiteboarding app. But it's hard, because if you're in a community where people are just happy to just be there and be a bit participant today, but don't really want to deal with the overhead of sort of, let's do definitions and roles and all that sort of stuff, because what I love about this space is that we can just come here and be ourselves. That can be hard too, right? Because you need the community to be participant in creating and shaping what we are, why we are, how we are. And that's something that I'm still trying to sort of process and work through myself.
One
You
of the
certainly need a
things,
critical mass, don't you, of
Yeah.
people who are in, standing shoulder to shoulder with you. Otherwise there are two people doing all the work and everybody else going, hey man, I love that we can all just get along and it's just so smooth here, man. And yeah, I just pitch up and it's just like freaking there, baby. Yeah.
So let's do a quick sort of terminology thing here. When is a community and when is it just a group of friends, or when is it a clique?
well,
Oh.
let's take ourselves as an example. We are on a Slack, the 5 of us. We are not a community. We are a panel for hire doing a thing. We have a clear purpose, and thus I would say, yes, we're friends and we hang out, but it is definitely not a community. We don't invite anyone else in. And aside from this wonderful webcast every month, it's not like we do any creation. Yeah, so there's that. But then testing peers as the other example, which is a smaller Slack, but has clearly invited people in, but not all people. And it's smaller, but it is much more community oriented. Again, still tiny. And then even one step bigger, there's the Women in Testing. Now that's a community. It's moderated, it's got a mission, purpose, code of conduct, it's got a very clear definition which group they're serving, like anyone who identifies as a woman. So there's
Actually
community.
Also people who, I think it's non-binaries, I think it's anyone who doesn't identify as a man. So sorry, man.
Oh, yep. Correction. Thanks, Fiona. So that it has as you can tell, been thought about because Viola and I have both looked at that discussion, and Viola remembered the result better.
Yeah. No, because I thought it was a really good one, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, truly. So that's, I think, where it starts to become community. There's certain vision, targets, ideas of what we want to achieve with the group, and they can also be even more specific. I'll take a company example, the Society Labs. They also produce podcast articles, white papers, but you can only be a part of that if you work for the company and you are innovative in some way. So there's another selection and clear goal. So like a community can be gated and still be a community, but it can also just...
Oh, we'll never know.
It's a mystery.
Oh,
Whenever someone
mate.
freezes, I'm always in that sheer terror that it's my Wi-Fi cutting
Yeah,
out.
I hear you.
Okay,
And
well,
so-
I'm
It's
just
like we have a project called
Oh,
Night
there
Out
you
Thing.
go. There you're back.
Hey.
All right, because I'm just reading the comments as well on the side, and I see Steve saying like not a fan of cliques, and Søren asked something earlier about like our community's confidence dependent. I'm just wondering, how do you avoid becoming a clique or getting a clique within your community? Is that something you can avoid? Should you avoid it?
I think that it's the clique thing. When anybody ever says that, particularly around communities, I remember there was such a an accusation about Test Bash being just one big clique of the same people being there, and that really shot through certainly myself and a number of other people who volunteer at Test Bashes and things too. Really work hard as volunteers and attendees to sort of, if you're standing in a circle, leave a space aside for somebody, and as somebody comes past, introduce them in and things like that. So I think it is easy to be a clique when you all have a sort of shared kind of history, perhaps, and that you when you get together, you sit in that bubble of shared history. But I think to stop that cliquiness, you do have to be open. I mean, yeah, closed communities and things like that, like the ones that Sana was talking about, that is different. You have qualifying criteria, and you're into a community. But if you're in a larger group, like Paul Maxwell Walters talking about Sydney testers and things like that, is just, I think, trying to be aware, looking up and looking around rather than just looking at your chosen group is important to avoid being a clique.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think we
I'm
talked a
very
bit about
guilty of this one sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure we talked about this one when we did our
I think.
test
Yeah.
jam. Yeah, we did have a whole session on the pack manning and
it's
things
true.
like this, and avoiding cliques at conferences. So if you haven't seen that one, you can always watch that video afterwards as well, because I think we tackle it quite a lot.
Hannah doing the heavy lifting on the promoing here. No, I see in the comments as well. I see Tara Walton saying like micro communities inside communities, and so I think that's why I was triggered into thinking like, when is it a clique? When is it a micro community? But I guess part of the answer is like in how closed you are to other people and how accessible the group.
I was going to say, and also like not everyone's an extrovert. Not everyone feels safe in a bigger, wider space, and so it's not as clearly defined as just this is a closed group and therefore it's a clique. So, like you say, there are reasons for things, and I think no one goes out, I hope, with the expectation of becoming a clique.
Well, one of the ways that I like to, or have been talking about it within the department, and also creating that feeling I belong, we've been talking about what we call energy spirals. So in terms of communities and what they then provide, especially like how cliquey are you? Like we tend to see that if it gets really cliquey, energy will start spiraling down. So you'll see less people introducing themselves, less people spontaneously starting chats. You'll see that randomized interaction just start to gradually peter out to the point that everyone just shows up and does their thing. And then when the communities go the other way around, they become expansive energy-wise. So they start to spiral out And as people get enthusiastic and excited and having fun, even if they're talking to a part, because they keep, greeting everyone that comes in, like, hi, new members, so glad to see you here, like happens digitally and physically. Those interactions expanding and becoming exponential really show which way you're headed in terms of, are you a clique or are you a community?
Everyone's just dead quiet because everyone is just in awe of Sanna's community experience.
Oh man.
No, but that's literally how we've been discussing, like, are things working? When we have these smaller groups getting started, do we see them having that upward energy spiral, or do we see them having that downward energy spiral? And when you want to flip it, it comes down to rituals and adding things that will bring that energy back up. And that honestly is where a lot of that volunteer work and heavy lifting again comes in. If you are going to be running and making communities, good Lord, is that like literal labor.
It's also a thing about sort of exiting communities or closing them, and like that's a whole wider thing, because it sometimes hurts to leave stuff even if you're not really being a participant, or accepting defeat in something that you tried to start up perhaps.
Yep, that happens.
Like that used to be a bit of a thing when, like, especially on Twitter, I don't know if this is much of a thing in other spaces as well, but like where people maybe at some point would like announce like, right, I'm taking a mental health break, I'm going to be out of here for a while. And then I was always kind of wondering, like, okay, like, why make the big statement? But at the same time, I can sort of understand, like, if you're invested enough in a community that you don't just want to disappear off the radar without saying anything.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that as much on like, I've seen that a lot in groups on Facebook, not really related to testing, but people really have to like make a big deal about them leaving, and you're like, bye.
Yeah, because I think that's like a bit of a superiority complex thing sometimes. Like sometimes it's genuinely a very active community member just wanting to give everyone a heads up, like, I am cooling things down, don't panic, I'm fine, just taking a break. But sometimes it's like, look at me, not be distracted by all these social media things. Look how wonderful I am, because I am not
in my lane, focused,
yes.
moisturized.
Yeah.
I am still telling you about it.
You're giving us our time back, are you?
All the time we'd
Hey,
otherwise spend reading it.
I am the Prince of Persia. I can do with time what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like making a big deal of something that's happened and really having to state why you're leaving. It's like, well, tell the people that you care about. If you tell like a group of 5,000 people, like, I'm leaving because of this,
It's optics. Optics is a big thing, and I think there isn't a single answer for a single context, is there? Because in some groups, like especially like the point where you're very active, it might be worth just saying, I'm not going to be around for a while for various reasons. I think I've said things to folks like, I'm starting a new job, so my availability to be participant in these things is going to be a while.
Yeah, but you told us that personally. You didn't announce it.
Yeah, but then, I mean,
didn't read it on Twitter, mastodon.com.
But there's also a thing where some people do sort of just, the word like lurking is very good. Some people do just sort of observe stuff that's going on, and they might notice that you're not there without actually having an established relationship if it's in a more public kind of space. And I can see the reason for these things existing, and the purpose of people doing that. But it's quite tricky to sort of know, because
Is it Chris?
We will never know.
I don't know for these things.
Nailed it, Chris.
It literally says my connection is unstable, so that's good timing.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, cool. That's fine, because I think we're nailing this conversation. But I'm also gonna, let's say, round off a little bit. We've got a few pretty exciting things coming up that I think we should take a minute to announce, because this summer, I'm sure everybody already knows this, but I just want to say it again. This summer we'll be at Eurostar together.
Yeah, baby.
It's gonna be amazing. Yeah.
It's going to be so much fun.
I know, right? I'm just thinking, like, should we say anything to like convince people to join us, or do you think everyone will automatically?
Oh, I
It's
think
in
they'll just pop
Belgium,
in.
the land of the best beer, and we will be
Yeah.
having some.
And chocolate.
Yeah,
And
beer and chocolate.
chocolates.
And
Is that enough?
I actually meant like people who might already be going to the conference, but like convince them to come to our session as opposed to another session.
Our session's on Friday in the conference. So that's something to look out for. But also, if you're not going to be there and you're involved in organising conferences, guess who's available for hire?
We are.
We're all here. We're ready and willing and able.
Yeah, we love doing it in person. We love doing it online. We prefer in person so we can get that beautiful feedback. I mean, guys on YouTube today, freaking amazing. You know, you guys have just been so involved. So really love that. But yeah, we'd love to see everybody in person.
Soren is saying he got
Oh my God.
at a restaurant in Belgium.
Freaking hell, Soren. Oh,
Soren,
mate.
in that case, I think you just didn't go beyond like the main tourist thoroughfare. I don't think you looked hard enough.
So
Was it like at the airport?
So there is possibly going to be a bit of a pub run at some stage at Eurostar, because I grew up in Antwerp. So it might be my student bar run, see how many are still open since 25.
Very cool.
More than 25 years ago. So yeah.
Oh, very cool, very cool.
All right. Awesome.
I think we've sold it.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, all very good reasons to join us at Eurostar. That's going to be great. Next session, we're going to be talking about terrible UI in real life, the worst bugs and the worst designs that you have ever encountered. I know something that testers love to rant about, so please join us in the comments again. Let us know about, drop all the links to all of your worst nightmares and all of that. And the next session, Hannah may or may not be there. We don't know. Hannah, would you care to elaborate?
You might. This might tip you off.
Oh my gosh, look at it.
Oh my gosh.
So cool.
Sitting down.
Hannah.
My due date is about a month away, so I'm unsure if I'll make it. And after that, I'll be on maternity leave for a little bit, but I will join online sessions. However, I'll miss Eurostar. Big FOMO on that one. Really sad about that.
We will send you chocolate.
Yes, we will.
We'll send you pictures of us eating chocolates and then send you chocolates.
Nice.
Mean, but always a
That's
good.
good.
Oh, Sebastian was saying Hannah 2.0.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I might be here for next section, but if
Yeah, we're all
I-
very excited. It's the first 9 out of 10 testers baby, so like,
Yay!
cool. Might be the only one too.
So that'll be very exciting. Either way, I think it's incredibly badass that your due date is around that time and you're still saying I might join. I would have been like, absolutely not.
So
Yeah, but I
we
mean,
love you, Hannah.
I love these sessions. It's like the top of my week almost. It's so much fun. So if I don't have a baby or not in labor, I want to be here. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
The rush will
acceptance
trigger
criteria
labor.
clear.
Yeah.
Nice. All
that
right.
would be good.
Well, that little cliffhanger rounds us up for this week. Let's all say where you can find, in what amazing communities you can find us, starting with Shay.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Shaymouse and and various
On the
other
spot.
places. I don't know. Yeah, I mean the Discord is a place that I sort of lurk at the moment. I need to be a bit more active on there, and same on the club. So yeah, come and find me on there. To be fair, I didn't even. Sebastian said there's chat on the club. I didn't even know that. So
That's one of the things that I can't find.
freaking heck.
Maybe
Ask
Sebastian can help
Sebastian.
you out, Björn.
Yeah, Sebastian, hit me up, please. All right, Chris, where can we find you?
I clingy onto Twitter still. Also, I'm on Mastodon, I'm on LinkedIn, I am on the Discord. I'm still in all the places. Mostly you can find me by Kristofskia. That's kind of my handle of goodness. But yes, I'm around. Come and speak to me. I love meeting new people and chatting about testing and all those good things.
Excellent. Sana?
Yeah, so you can find me with my handle at Simply Sana, currently still on Twitter, Mastodon, a lot of the Slacks that we mentioned, and on the Discord. So I am really ramping those up, but probably like the most frequent posting is on LinkedIn. And the invitation from me would be really, if you are community building and you've got a baby community, I would love to have a chat. Hit me up. Like I enjoy expanding this skill set.
Awesome. Hannah,
Very cool.
where can we
Yeah,
find you?
you can find me mainly on LinkedIn. That's where I'm the most active, but I'm also on various Slack spaces. Just search for my name and you'll probably find me, as well as the Discord. So that's where I hang out at the moment.
Yeah,
Nice.
Hannah pretty much runs our channel there. Props to
Yeah,
Hannah.
yeah.
Awesome. I should really join. No, just kidding. I'm already on it, but I never opened Discord. So for me, I guess you can find me on the Discord, Twitter, the Women in Testing Slack, the Agile Testing Days Slack is currently one that I'm relatively active in. But for all of those, you have to tag me or I will never read it. So if you want to find me, use a tag. And of course on LinkedIn under my normal name, or you can email me. I'm gonna keep saying it at verhavenviola@gmail.com.
You're
Oh
so
my
brave.
God. You are very
Oh, I
brave.
know that, but nobody ever emails anyway, so it's fine. I'm just gonna keep saying it. It's a safe
Challenge
offer.
accepted.
Okay.
All right, cool. Well, that rounds us up. Take us offline, Shay.
Are we
Okay,
offline
hang on.
yet?
No, wait, hang on. Let me hit the button. Wait. I got it. Yep. Okay.
Bye.